Good afternoon. My name is Amanda Nairn and I'm a community volunteer. I am here to talk to you today about the installation and maintenance of rain barrels. So we're very excited. It's springtime. We have a lot of people that are interested in water conservation and how to save water but still have a beautiful landscape. So we have a really nice example here that I'm going to go over and show you the different parts of how to install and maintain your rain barrel so you can enjoy free water and be able to be able to water your landscape at any time, even during drought. So welcome. We hope you enjoy our video. I'm going to start today. As you can see, we have a lovely rain barrel set up here that is actually working, is collecting water. We've just had some rain and I believe it's full. We've had some water running out the overflow. So this is a really exciting opportunity to show you one in use. So I'm going to first start with going over the important parts of the barrel. But let me step back once, just one step back and tell you that this is a very easy process. Please do not be intimidated by the installation and the maintenance of your rain barrel. It is very easy to do and I'm going to explain all those components today. So first of all, this is our top right here. This is where the water will enter your barrel. You can see that the water will come out of the downspout and enter the barrel. In a few minutes, I'll talk a little bit more about a different setup, should you need a different setup other than from a downspout. Right here we have the overflow on top. Okay, this is very important. The overflow, as your barrel fills up, you do not want all the water to rush out of the top of the barrel, so it will exit through this overflow. Now, one important thing about the overflow is you want to be sure to set it up away from your building, as we've done today, because you don't want to affect your foundation next to your home or your office building. So you want it to overflow away from your building. So this is a great place. I've also seen them on the side before. That's okay too, that works. You just don't want it on the back side of the barrel, because then you could get a washout next to your foundation. So here we have our top again. We have our overflow. Down here we have a spigot. These barrels also have a spigot on the side. Now that is your choice, which spigot you would like to use. The idea behind the spigot is that's how you are going to retrieve the water out of your barrel. Whether you're using a hose that you attach to your spigot and lead that hose to wherever in your garden you need to water. Or you can use a watering can to you just turn the spigot on and you can fill up a watering can and then carry your water to whatever pot or area of your yard that you cannot get a hose to. So that is totally up to you. Either way works. These barrels are very nice because they have the two options. Again, remember, you don't want to set it up with your spigot on the back side because you wouldn't be able to get to it, right? So it either needs to be on the front, on the opposite side as your building, or on the side. And these barrels are so nice, they have both options. You choose which one you'd like, and then there's a cap that comes on the other one. You just keep that capped. So water won't come out that spigot, it will come out on the side spigot. We also, as you can see, have a platform. It's very important that you get these barrels up off of the ground. They are gravity fed, okay? So the higher off the ground, the better. So I'll talk more about preparing your base in a few minutes, but a platform is another piece and part of your setup. And then you can see we have a hose nearby. That's always nice and convenient, not necessary, not a have to, but you're going to use this water to water your landscape, so why not have a hose nearby as well? So we have lots of lovely vegetation here that I think gets watered regularly with this barrel. And like I said, this is a great setup. So again, I've gone over the parts. We have the overflow, we have the lid, we have the spigot at the bottom, either on the front or the side, and we have the platform. Those are the main parts of your barrel. Let's talk about setting it up, okay? You get home, you are excited about collecting this 60 gallons of water, rainwater, and you need to find a location. And when you're looking at a location on your building, you want to think about things like, where's the landscape I need to water? Where is that? And maybe you want to set the barrel up close to that location. You might want to set the barrel up on a side of the house you don't have a water spigot, that it's really a pain to get water to by dragging a 100-foot hose, because the area you want to water is on the side of your building, not on the front. You don't have a hose spigot nearby. So those are some things to consider when trying to decide what portion of your building you want to install the barrel, okay? So my next question is, do you have a downspout like we have here? Or do you have a valley in your roof? I will just use a personal example. On the south side of my home, we have a large valley with no downspouts or guttering, but we get a lot of water that comes off of that valley. So what we have done is we have set the rain barrel up to accept the water off of the valley and not just a downspout. And I'll talk a little bit more about how to situate your lid, your top, in that type of situation here in a few minutes. So you've found your location. You've taken into consideration some of the things I mentioned earlier, and now it's important for you to build your base. Again, I told you, you want to get your barrel off of the ground because these are gravity fed. You want it to be as high up as possible, but to keeping that in mind, you want to make sure that it's safe. These can weigh hundreds of pounds when they're full, and you don't want them teetering or falling over on a pet or a child. You want it to be very, very level. Luckily here, we are sitting partially on a concreted area, but at your home, you're probably not going to be. So you want to level your ground. You want to add some sort of possibly gravel to help with that leveling. And then you want to get your base on the prepared pad and make sure it's level. Now, here we have a constructed wooden base, but you don't have to use that. You could use concrete blocks. You could use decorative bricks that maybe you have around your house, or decorative garden stone, as long as you create a very level base that will hold this full barrel in a level position, even when it's full. So taking the time to construct the base appropriately and properly and safely is really worth that investment of time, because you won't have to go back and do it again, but you want to do it right the first time. So we've picked our base, we've gotten it ready, we've gotten it up on the platform. There's not a lot more to tell you other than happy watering. Now, a couple of options here that we have with this setup. First of all, on the lid, I've got an example right here. If I want to capture water off of a valley, I've got a lid right here that's really pretty much open except for window screen. Okay? Now, screening the top is very important because you do not want large debris to get in your barrel. If you don't have some sort of screen, and this again is just window screen that you can get at any hardware store, but also comes on these barrels. If you don't have any screen, you don't want to get large debris in your barrel, but you also don't want your neighborhood animals, your squirrels to lean over to try to get a drink and they won't be able to get out. So it's a safety precaution. You also don't want a child trying to get into the barrel or get a drink from the barrel. This is non-potable water, by the way. This is not safe for drinking. This is safe for use in your landscape, and that is all. So I did want to make that point. It's very important. But if I'm capturing water off of a valley, it's not going to necessarily come down in a very dedicated stream like it would out of this downspout. So I want a bigger surface area to kind of catch that splatter of water into the barrel. This is why I have a bigger open surface area with still the screening material. That also allows for easy cleaning. When you have leaves and roof debris landing on the screen, you can easily clean it and go about your day. So that's a good idea if you've got a valley set up. Now, one thing I would encourage is if you're collecting water off of a valley or a downspout for that matter, is get it all set up, and after your first large rain event, be sure to go out and check it to make sure that it has caught water appropriately. Sometimes you're a little bit off on the where it's setting and the water overshot it or undershot it. So you do want to go out while it's raining the first time, make sure it's working properly. Also make sure that your base is still level. Once it's gotten wet, Did it shift? So those are some things to check on the first time around. You might have to do a little bit of tweaking, but that's okay. You want it to be safe and you want it to capture water appropriately. Okay, so we've talked about the different options for a lid. This lid actually has the netting material on this barrel, but it also has hard plastic, a hard plastic disc that fits inside with a hole just to catch water from the downspout. So that is another option. On these barrels, you could remove that hard plastic disc if you just want the netting, or you can keep it in place and still have the netting on top. You have options here. If you're doing a downspout, you will most likely need to cut it. Likely it goes down to the ground to carry water away from your home or your office or whatever building you're working with. So to be able to empty into the barrel, you will most likely want to cut it. It's very easy to do. You can do it yourself. You can add an extra elbow at any hardware store. You can purchase those. Or you can have a guttering company come and do it for you if you're not quite comfortable. But you want to figure out the appropriate height. So you only have to cut it once, right? So that when you slide your barrel underneath, it empties right into it, like you can see right here in this lovely setup. So we've set our barrel up. It's ready to go. We get our first rain event, and is it full? We come out and we check, is it full? Is it working? Did the screen stay in place? Is there any debris that we might need to clean off? You don't have to clean it off every time, but you might want to take a look at it every few times we get a rain, just to be sure you don't have large leaves and things like that covering the receptacle. So look at that. That's just easy to scrape off because we've got that screen on there, right? We don't have an open water area. So now you're ready to water again. Do you want to use the spigot on the side or do you want to use the spigot on the front? In this case, we've used the spigot on the side so that it can water this entire area here. Very easy, just nozzles that you turn on and off. Some advice I have: when you're done using it, close it again. If you don't, next time it rains, you won't capture any water. And I can't tell you how frustrating and sad that is. It's happened to me a bunch. So be sure to, if you're not using the water, to keep it closed so you don't always know when it's gonna rain, especially here in Oklahoma. So you want to be sure to keep it closed if you're not using it. And that's another point I wanted to make. You think we don't get a lot of rain in Oklahoma, especially when we get into the summertime in July and August. But it doesn't take a large rain event to fill up a 55 gallon, 60 gallon rain barrel. 1/10 of an inch of rain on 1,000 square foot of roof will fill up this barrel. We know that we get a lot of rain showers that are 1/10 of an inch of rain or even less. Chances are the area of roof that you're capturing water off of probably isn't even 1,000 square feet, or maybe it is. But you're going to capture a lot of usable water even in a small event. And I want us to remember that because we don't always get those big events here in Oklahoma. And you think, well, you know, it's not going to fill up anyway. It will fill up faster than you think, which is really, really exciting. So we've talked a little bit about how to set it up. We've talked about the parts. Now here comes the easy part, the maintenance. Once you get these things set up correctly, they are very easy to maintain. First of all, I talked a little bit already about making sure your lid is clear from debris. Mosquitoes is a question I get a lot. How do I manage mosquitoes? They will still get through this window netting as much as you think they won't. Hopefully you use the water quick enough that maybe mosquitoes won't breed, but that's not always the case. You know, there are some days in the spring and early summer that we'll get rain several days in a row. You haven't needed to use your barrel, but you certainly don't want mosquitoes breeding inside your barrel. There are these wonderful things called Mosquito Dunks, which is an all-natural way, and that's a brand name, but it's really BT. It's an all-natural bacteria that interrupts the mosquito breeding process. So you buy them at any hardware store as long as the active ingredient is BT. Perfectly safe, and you drop a little bit in. You know, and you don't need to use a whole one. A lot of times it's a compressed donut. You just need about 1/4 of one in one of these, and it'll last about 3 weeks. That will keep mosquitoes from breeding inside your barrel, so you don't have an ongoing problem. But they're also safe to use in bird baths and your little pond in your backyard, or a little wetland, or anywhere that holds water in your yard. It's perfectly safe to use the BT. And then it is then safe if your pets or wildlife or birds drink from it. It won't hurt them. All it's doing is interrupting the breeding process of the mosquitoes. Now, should you forget, which I've done before, and you think, oh gosh, I already have a big mosquito population, that's okay. Still put your BT in, and then give it a week or two, and you will notice a sharp decline. It won't kill adults. It's almost a pre-emergent or a proactive thing, but you will catch up if you're a little late getting it in there. So just all summer long, if there's water in your barrel, about every 3 weeks add a little BT to it, and that should control your mosquito population. And I've also heard a drop or two of Dove dish soap or a dish soap will coat it, or vegetable oil will coat the water just a little bit, not much. We'll coat the water just enough that the mosquitoes won't want to land on the surface of the water and start breeding. So those are some other ways, all natural, perfectly safe, that you can control mosquito breeding in your barrels. I get asked a lot about winter. What do you do in winter? Well, there's options. You can obviously uninstall it and put it in a shed and not worry about it till spring. That might be more hassle than it's worth. Just leave your spigot open. Then it won't collect water all winter long. Just leave your spigot open. That's the easiest thing to do. Well, I can't tell you that these won't freeze solid and crack. That might happen. So I don't want you to leave it full of water, forget about it all winter, and then have a cracked barrel come spring. So the safest thing to do is just to open your spigot at the bottom, empty it, and leave it open, and then you won't capture water all winter. That's the safest, easiest thing to do as far as that goes. Do I need to clean out the inside and get to the bottom and get out all the debris? Because there will be fine debris that does make it through the screen. That's up to you. You can do that every few years if you choose. Could it clog your downspout? Possibly, but I think that would be many, many years, unless you have a brand new roof. That would be many, many years of fine debris gathering in the bottom before it's going to clog your hose. So that is an optional thing, not a have to. Again, I would stress how easy this is to do. Once you get it set up, how easy it is to maintain. And just think about it. This is 60 gallons of water, untreated, non-potable water that our plants love, that A, we don't have to pay for, and B, we don't have our city spending a lot of money to treat, that we're using on our landscape to make it drinking water quality. We know when we open those spigots on the front and the back of our house, that's treated drinking water, as it should be. But that takes a lot of time and resources and energy to make, and it's very important for us to have to drink, but we don't need to use that in our landscape. In fact, our plants prefer the non-treated water, the rainwater. So you have just done a huge favor not only to your pocketbook and to your house, but also to the bigger infrastructure around your municipality where you live. So it's a feel-good thing. I appreciate you all being interested in rain barrels. They're very easy to do. You can even hook multiple barrels together, which is something else that we could talk about very briefly. The easiest way to hook them together is to connect a hose between this overflow and the next barrel's overflow. Or you could connect a hose on the bottom between one of the spigots you're not using and on the other barrel of a spigot you're not using. Very easy to do. Now, you still want all the barrels up off the ground for gravity reasons to use to water. And if you're connecting them at the top, you want your second barrel a little lower than your first barrel. But all it takes is a very simple piece of hose, not just get an old hose and cut it, add new ends to it, and hose them together. And hook them together, and you're done. You've got two hooked together. And you can do that at the top or at the bottom. So that's very easy to do. I've seen setups with 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 barrels all hooked up, and they all filled up, and they all worked, and people were able to water their landscape, their yard, their vegetable garden with the collected rainwater. So thank you for listening. I wish you much luck with your barrel installation. It's very easy to do, and I look forward to the water we'll save by collecting rainwater. So thank you for that, and have a great day.
For more information about rain barrels, contact the City of Norman Stormwater Division at 405-329-2524 or email pwstormwater@normanok.gov. For more information about the Central Oklahoma Stormwater Alliance, call 405-366-5435.